Hello and welcome back, everybody. So in the last video, which I will link on the screen, we had a kind of a first impressions review of the classic aircraft simulations Piper Cup, which is standing right in front of us. So this time we will not do like a review video or something like that. We will just do a hopefully nice and chill flight using this really nice airplane. So we are standing here in Phaplu, Nepal. This is a small paver scenery by Aerosoft, which was also kind of recently released. Has really nice details, a lot of moving objects, people, small tuk-tuks running around. Also, as you can maybe hear, sounds and so on. But this will be just our backdrop for our flight. So we will depart here in Phaplu, and we will then make our way up to Lukla. So in principle, we would have two principal routes. We could go north and over mountains, or we could work our way south through valleys. I tried offline, I tried the way above the mountain ridges, and the cup is just not powerful enough to get to, I don't know, 13 or 14,000 feet. At least also not in the time frame you have until the terrain starts rising. So what we will do, we will take the southern route, so we will just follow some valleys, some rivers, and then end up in Lukla and land in Lukla. And the nice thing is that on this route there is the second airport, which is part of this the scenery pack by Aerosoft. It is called, let me check, Kangel Danda, and it's more or less just a runway with a little bit of scenery around it, not much. Still nice, but very limited infrastructure there, and it lies on top of a mountain, so that will make for an interesting approach. Okay, let's get into it, and we will go into our airplane. So we will not take a passenger, just a pilot. We will take half fuel. The engine is in perfect condition. We have enough oil, but we will check that when we do our walk around. There are no tie-downs, but the wheel chocks are in place, so we need to fix that. Then we can just have a quick look. All the avionics switches are off. The fuel cutoff valve is on, and the magnetos are off, so that's fine. So let's go out of the airplane and do our walk around. A little bit fiddly, my key settings for moving around is not the best. Look again at these textures. So nice. Okay, so first let's make sure our oil levels are okay. Yeah, so that looks good. Then let's have a quick walk around. So the prop looks good. Let's remove the wheel chocks. We will leave the fairings on. In principle, I like the Cup better without the fairings, but today we need any kind of aerodynamic slippery we can get in this high altitudes. Okay, we have no tie-downs. Let's remove the pitot cover and then check our flight control surfaces. All good. Let's go to the tail and check our elevator. Yep, all good. And the rudder. And again, as I said in the other video, listen for these sound effects. Okay, cool. So that's already it for the workaround. Plane is in good condition, a little bit dirty, but that's how I like airplanes, because they are used daily. Then let's get into the cockpit. And the first thing we need to do when starting up is switching on the magnetos, making again sure that the fuel valve is open, then give the throttle, open up the throttle a little bit, let's have a quick look in the engine page whether we need priming, and indeed we need 1 stroke of priming, so let's prime the engine. That's already it. So, and with that we can start the engine. So clear prop. And the engine just starts up directly. Really nice. So bringing back the throttle and stepping onto the brakes. We can now close the door. And this is always fiddly. I don't know, but maybe I'm doing something wrong, but it is fiddly. We will leave the window open just because we can. And then we can switch on the avionics. So avionics transponder is already in altitude, so that's fine. We'll leave it like that. Our nose is pointing to the west. So what we will do is we will taxi onto the runway, backtrack all the way down the hill, and then take off in the direction of in the southern direction. So normally we would need to wait a little bit for oil temperature coming up, but we can already start taxiing. So off the brakes, a little bit of throttle. I think I didn't forget the wheel chocks, so all good. And off we go. Have a look to the right there, the scenery. As I said, really nice. There's a tuk-tuk moving around. Yeah. Lots of small details. And I think it costs 9 euros or 10 euros or something like that. And for that, I think it's really nice. You can find the flight plan in the video description, so if you want to follow along or fly the same route, just download the flight plan and load it into your Microsoft Flight Simulator or Navigraph or something like that, and then you can enjoy this flight together with me. As you may have noticed, I decided we will do the departure in the opposite direction, so we can make sure, or we can use the slope of the runway to gain a little bit of speed. And also we can do a nice turn to the left then, which will, I guess, be a nice panorama. Okay. So let's see, oil temperature, okay, that looks good. And again, I said it in my impressions video, but look at these vibrations and the sounds. Cannot get enough of this plane. Okay, let's do takeoff. So, off the brakes, full power. Keeping the cup straight and just waiting for... keeping the cup straight, easier said than done. Waiting for... the tail coming out automatically, and at 40 miles per hour just a little bit of back pressure, and we are flying, and we aim for something like 55 miles per hour for our best rate of climb. I will now turn a little bit to the right and afterwards do a turn to the left in the southern direction. Without an attitude indicator, for me it's kind of hard or challenging to judge the real attitude of the plane. So I need to cross-reference the altitude indicator and the speed indicator to know what I am doing, or how the plane is sitting in the geometrical sense. So another look at the Mount Everest Volume 2 scenery, or Mount Everest Airports Volume 2 by Aerosoft. Really nice airport. Okay, we had 55 knots, so that's good. We will follow the valley in front of us. In the manual of the airport, or the add-on, actually quite good manuals, Aerosoft says that Phaplu is connected to the official road network, and not like Lukla, which is not connected to the road network. So there should be a big street somewhere which we could also follow. Maybe it is the one we are seeing on the left here, but I'm not sure. It's... oh, okay, maybe it is. Okay. So the whole route is something like 30 nautical miles, and the CAS is not the fastest by any means. So I will at some point maybe do a quick cut when we are just cruising along. But currently this is just a really nice scenery. Kangel Danda, so our airfield where I would like to try just a touch and go, is at 6,880 feet. So I guess the good approach altitude would be something like 7,000 feet. We are at 8,500, so let's descend a little. So I will reduce the engine power to something like, well, 2,000 RPM or so. I read on one of the flight notes of the CAS that you should always activate the carburetor heat, where the switch is down there, when the engine is below 1900 RPMs. I don't know if that is correct. I just read it at some flight notes, but I will stick with that. So we are above 1900 rounds per minute for the engine. So I will leave the carburetor heat off, and we will see if that is a good decision or not. So you can already see that the terrain gets a little bit shallower, because the really high mountain ranges are now behind us, including Everest. We need to turn left now. Just waiting a little until we cross this ridge here, or this mountain. And let's see whether we should already be able to see the airfield. And yes, actually there it is. Just beside the pitot tube is the runway of Kangel Danda. I will not be able to remember that for the reminder of this video, so I need to look that up always. But I have my notes in front of me, so that's good. Okay, so then let's see. I think that looks quite alright. Especially altitude. We are now at 7,900, so that's good. Let me check the runway orientation. It's something like 110 degrees or 100 degrees or something like that. So this seems also good. I will fly along the mountain ridge or the mountain to the right here, and then do the turn onto final approach course when we are aligned with the runway, which we are currently not completely. Look at this scenery. Look at that. Oh, it's so beautiful. And there are cars going around. It's so pretty. And this together with this plane. Just a joy. I said it in the other video. This plane, I don't know. It is so. It just feels so direct and so connected. Feel so connected to the elements here. I cannot stop saying good things about it. Okay, I think we can slowly turn final. We are approximately 700 feet above the field. So I will decrease the thrust a little bit. To continue descending. So one thing I mentioned in the first impressions video was that the Cup has a lot of adverse yaw, so that means when you use ailerons to turn to one side, the nose actually wants to move in the other side. This is the reason for that is that the aileron, which lifts up the wing, will increase lift, but increasing lift always means increasing drag, so you will get a force which pulls on your wing into the other side more you want to turn more or less. So that's a very basic description of what's happening there. I find it a little hard, or let's say like this, I don't know how to compensate for that in this, if I do this small correction. So here I just want to do a small correction. The nose moves quite a lot from left to right. I am not sure whether the amount of adverse yaw is really realistic. I watched one YouTube video from a real Cup, with a real Cup and a real pilot flying this Cup, and there it looked to me like this amount of adverse yaw is a little bit too much, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not a pilot, and I'm certainly not a Cup pilot. So we are now below 1900 RPM, so I will activate the carburetor heat. You hear the decrease in RPMs. Yeah, so I don't know whether the amount of adverse yaw is correct, and I'm not quite sure how to compensate for that during this very small corrections. Yeah. Okay, as I said, we will not do a full stop landing. We will just do a quick touch and go. But this looks all really nice. Speed is okay, maybe a little bit fast. But the runway is long in air quotes. Okay. So and touch. Power up, carburetor heat off, a little bit of back pressure, and we are flying again. And look at that, there is even a bulldozer, which makes the runway nice. Okay, cool. Again, nice that this is included in the scenery by Aerosoft. Okay, now let's start with the fun part. We will now turn slowly to the north and follow this river you see down below. And we will not... You now see that there is kind of a... You can go to the right and to the left there, and we need to go left as far as I'm remembering. So we will see what happens. So for Lukla, we are looking at an approach altitude of 9,500 feet. So we can start climbing a little. We are now at 7.1, so we have a little way to go, but that's good, or that's okay, because we have a couple of miles until Lukla. Now, regarding the adverse jaw, if you know something about that, please leave a comment in the video below the video, because I would be really curious if this amount of adverse jaw is realistic. Yeah. So if you have experience with planes like that, or if you know other resources talking about that, yeah, I'm happy to hear what you have to say. There are some low-hanging clouds here. I hope that they will not be a factor, but we will see when we go into the mountains. I should say that I never landed the Cup at Lukla, so that will be a first, and hopefully we will not run out of power at 9,500 feet. It should be able to do it, yeah, but we will see. Yeah, there you see down below, you see how the valley goes to the left and to the right. There's also a river there, and we need to take, let's say, take the left exit here. So I will initiate a slow turn to the left, and there is another junction, so to say. Already can already see that, and there we again need to take the left route. Still climbing, I like that, that's good. We are at 8.1 now. Again, we need to go to 9.5. Currently it seems we will not get any problems regarding power or altitude. Another thing I'm not completely sure about, and I've read different things, so I'm currently running the Cup at full power for the whole climb here. I also read that somewhere I read that this is okay, and somewhere I read that you should not do that, and you should reduce power to at least a little bit below 2300 RPMs. Yeah, we can have a look on our engine condition, which is 100%. So yeah, I don't know, looks like it's all good. I think we can close the window now. I guess it would get kind of cold up here. Maybe it would have been already very cold. So it's also a little quieter. So we're already at 8,800 feet. It's really good, and it seems we can just go directly over this ridge, which is just in front of us now. I thought we maybe need to do a small left and right turn around it, but it seems we can climb over it, which is good. I'm not sure whether I already mentioned that. So the airport of Lukla is also from Aerosoft. It's also a payware scenery. Also costs something like 10 euros or so. It is made by the same developers, and it renders the airport of Lukla really nicely, again with a huge amount of small details, a lot of animations, sounds. So that's all good. And I think 10 euros is... Yeah, I mean, you have to decide for yourself. It's not... I wouldn't say it's cheap, but it's also not hugely expensive. So what I'm observing here is this looks like a little bit of icing on the windscreen, so that could be a problem at some point. But currently, I mean, we are still climbing nicely. We are at 9,000 now. So let's see what our engine says. Engine indication, this looks all good. Okay, so now let's continue. If you're wondering, I bound the carburetor heat lever or button to a button on my joystick, or to be more precise, on my Stream Deck, because it is not very well located if you need to fiddle around with it on short final or something like that. So that's where I will try to remember to tell you when I activate carburetor heat. But sometimes I will activate it and you will not see it. So bear with me there. What I also like about the cup, it is not very, I wanted to say stable, but this is wrong. It is stable. I mean, it feels light, and it feels as that it moves around with the surrounding air. That is one part of what I mean when I say it feels like you're connected to the world, into the simulated world. So yeah, you see that I always need to do slight inputs on the control stick to keep the cup level, which I find, if I say realistic, I mean I don't know because I don't fly cups, but it feels realistic. So we're now at 9,500 feet. So I will reduce power a little to maybe 2150, and let's see whether we can trim the cup for level flight. Already at 9.6, so it wants to climb. That's good. That's always good. So I sounded so sure when I said we can cross that ridge in front of us. I mean, it will work out if we cannot cross it directly in front of us, just turn a little bit to the right there. But I was a little bit overconfident, I think. Well, I heard it's always good if you're overconfident in an airplane. Of course, that was sarcasm. Let's just be glad that we are not in a real airplane. Okay, maybe you see that we are now at 9,700 feet. That is now intentional because I don't want to crash into the trees in front of us there. So I will turn a little bit to the right, and then afterwards we can go back down to 9,500 feet. That was good. Maybe you should not have done that in real life. And we are over the ridge. Very nice. So let's get back down to 9.5. And I think one of the mountains in front of us, I don't think the one right in front of us, but this one slightly to the right at, I don't know, 1 o'clock or so. This could be the point where we need to turn on to final for runway 06 at Lukla, but we will find out very shortly. I'm not quite sure. So again, I need to go back down. Unfortunately, the level of detail in the distance is not that great, as you can see, so the mountains are not that nice in the distance, but all the scenery and the details right next to us is really beautiful. Again, just look at that, how beautiful that is. Yeah, I'm quite sure that the ridge there between the two metal bars now, this one there, this will be our turning point onto runway 06 in Lukla. So we will need to have 9,500 feet there. And there is a river in front of Lukla. And we need to have, let me check the chart, 9,300 feet there. If for any reason we need to go around, we will do that when crossing the river. after crossing the river, we are committed to a landing. So we are still a little bit high. So I need to force the plane down. And of course, always the better way. Better to force a plane down than to try to force a plane up. Because this will not, most often that will not end well. So I will do slide arc or slight turn to the left, and now if you look closely on the right, Lukla should reveal itself. Yes, there you can see the first houses of Lukla. And there's a runway. So, all good, perfect, and we all are almost on the correct altitude, so we can level off here. And down below you also see the river I was talking about. So we will head more or less straight to the mountain at 9,500 feet, and then initiate the turn to final. And again, we should have 9.3 at the river, which is our missed approach point. So if for any reason we need to go around, we need to do it there. The go around procedure looks like the following. What you will do, you will initiate a climb while immediately doing a slight right turn, and then a left turn through the valley, and you will come back from where we came. Okay, so I need to make sure that I'm not too low, which I am. This we can correct. There's a little bit of gustiness and wind, so that's nice. I like it. Again, feels good. Feels realistic. So still continuing heading to the mountain in front of us until we are aligned with the runway. And since the Cup has such a small turn radius, we can initiate the turn when the runway is almost straight in our window. So let's turn to final. A little bit of rudder. And initiate descent. So I'm decreasing the power. And I will activate the carburetor heat now. RPM drops. We are at 55. That is okay-ish. We are maybe a little bit high. As you can see, we could have waited for initiating the turn. So 9.3 over the river, maybe slightly low, but that's all good. And we are perfectly aligned with the runway. Speed looks nice. Altitude looks good. Maybe a little bit to the right. Carburetor heat is on. Engine looks good. Okay, we can go down more. Maybe there was a little bit of an updraft. So the trick for landing in Lukla is just fixating, or just with your eyes, just align or try to look at the threshold and not at the rest of the runway. Otherwise you will get a false impression. So that looks all very nice. You can already see the nice scenery. And thrust to idle. Not a good landing. Let's try to make this turn here. Yeah. Onto the helipad, I know, but we will park. Let's say we will park here. We have permission, because at heart we are also a helicopter pilot. At least I am. I hope you are too. Of course, helicopters are awesome. So there you see the details, like the dock there, people, the canisters, barrels, luggage sitting around. So I will just turn around so you can have a look on the scenery. So let's come to a stop here. And we will open, so deactivate the carburetor heat and open the window. So in the cup you switch off the engine via the magnetos, which is a little bit, again, really nice details there, animals and the small cart here. So you switch off the engine by switching off the magnetos. I find that a little strange coming from engines or coming from planes with mixture levers, because I thought that this increases the chance of a flooded engine, because there will be fuel in the cylinders, and if you remove the fuel via mixture lever, then this risk is not there. But there is no mixture lever, so we will switch off the engine with our magnetos. And that's how you do it. Let's put on the wheel chocks. Also, we can move outside. And where is the tie down point? Here. And let's put on the tie downs on this side. And let's put on the pitot cover and the tie down on the right side. So I hope you enjoyed this short flight with the Piper Cub. I hope I can convince you, or could convince you, that it's just fun to fly around with this small plane in the world of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I also think that the scenery we are flying through here is also kind of, well, not, let's say not perfect, but it somehow fits the Cub. Okay. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to my channel. This helps these small channels like mine very, very much, and I would appreciate that really a lot. And have a look whether some of my other videos is to your taste. And with that, I wish you a really great day, and I will see you very soon.